Sangha with right virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please send the wonderful Dharma to teach us how to leave suffering and the tempest and anger and death, and quickly realize long hope.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo saranto suchedoye alahadi sanya sanpatoshe.
Namo saranto suchetoye alahadi sanya sanpatoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿皆如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Venerable Master, Dharma friends, welcome to our sutra lecture today. My name is Homage. Today is, check, Sunday, October 10th. Wow, this is Shuang Shi Jie, the 10th of the 10th day of the 10th solar month. So welcome to our sutra lecture on the Flower Garland Sutra. Glad that you're here with us. And it is, I should say, good afternoon to those of us here in Queensland, Australia. Good evening to those of you who are a day behind, mind you, in California, or where you are around the world. It's very late at night, early in the morning, I guess, in Europe at this point. So, but we're delighted that you're here with us. And let's begin by invoking spiritual presence. I've got the slide up here. We request the Dharma, we request the presence of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the Dharma protectors, the spiritual beings, the Tianlong Babu, the gods, the dragons, and the Eightfold Pantheon, to come near and bless this assembly. Here we go. That's the phrase that I personally put into the air probably 1 million times, along with my companion, Marty Verhoeven, while bowing up the highway. That was what we chanted every time. So, and when people go to City of 10,000 Buddhas or our related branch monasteries and do what's called Chao Sheng, bowing to the sages, that's the same text. They use a different melody. So. And they don't use banjos that much. The nuns use them less. So. But who knows, we may be starting a trend. So where are we in our text? We've got a lot to cover today, and got some things to teach you that I hope will be aids to the understanding of the text. What we're doing, we're explaining the 10 stages, the 10 grounds, the Shirdipin, the Dashabhumi chapter, and we've been through the entire text from top to bottom, from bottom to top, and we're coming back for a second pass at it. And we're uncovering lots of gems and jewels and unexpected treasures that, because of the speed that we went through it the first time, or the just the level of understanding maybe has improved, deepened in the last decade that it took to get through it. But we're looking again, and applying different lenses, asking different questions. And the theme of what we're about is called reading sutras as literature for understanding. That's what we're about. We're starting with the first stage of the Bodhisattva's 10 stages, and this is the foundation. This is the ABCs of the Bodhisattva path, which is explained in its complete, thorough perfection throughout the 10 stages. Here on the first stage, which is called the stage of happiness,欢喜地, they call it. Here the Bodhisattva learns the basic knowledge that he or she is going to use throughout the duration of his or her study. And one of the things that we emphasized over and over as we proceeded through the various stages was how much this resembles a training course, a curriculum. It's a class, an academy, if you will, that the Bodhisattva passes through on various stages on his way up to completion, to what would be Buddhahood. So the curriculum here is the beginning, it's the basics, the ABCs. And what we learned in the last couple of weeks, as we actually set foot into the text itself, we spent a lot of time with the preparations, with the preliminaries, because actually, interestingly, people have, to my mind, unevolved views about what the sutra is. They say, oh, the Avatamsaka Sutra is the Buddha's highest expression of philosophy. I'll let you decide how accurate that is. What I perceive instead is its conversations, first of all, and it proceeds not from higher knowledge or elevated, distant systems that philosophy can tend to be. Philosophy can be very erudite and distant. So putting large bodies of knowledge in relationship to other large bodies of knowledge. What I find in the Avatamsaka Sutra instead is brokenheartedness hoping to heal. So it's an end to pain. That's how real, that's how down to earth it is. It's an experience of looking squarely at where we as living beings go wrong and which results in pain and hurt and misery and affliction. Ouch, hurting. And the Bodhisattva, who is very much like a paramedic in a way. He's there, she's there to learn how to make it hurt less. And that's how the sutra proceeds. There's lots and lots of discussion about how stupid living beings are, how heavily obstructed, and how we hit ourselves in the head with a hammer because it feels good when we stop, that joke. That's what is plastered over these pages over and over again, and how the Bodhisattva is determined to learn tools, skills, methods for getting us to wake up. That's what it is, not philosophy. There are philosophical elements, certainly, And the higher you get along the Nirvana mountain, the more advanced, once the Bodhisattva becomes an upperclassman, right, is in his third and fourth and fifth and sixth year of study, then the view is different from that up there, but the motive, and the heart is not different at all. Excuse me. So that's what we're discovering. Here in the first stage, the stage of happiness, we found, so I remember what my jump off point was there. So as we start the sutra, we spend a lot of time getting set up. And the setup was two bodhisattvas talking to each other. One of them represented the audience. And that audience had come from lands in all directions to enroll in this course, to learn how to be better bodhisattvas. And the other member of this conversation was the spokesperson. They call him interlocutor. He's the one who the Buddha tapped to tell the story. The teacher, who interestingly is not a Buddha, he's a bodhisattva, but he's the spokesperson. His name is Vajra Treasury, Qingganzang, who's a treasury of Vajra, this adamantine, indestructible, bright substance. That's he's the spokesperson, and the diplomatic representative of the audience out there is named Chietoye, who's a liberated moon, moon of liberation, moon-like liberation, reflecting fullness of freedom, moon of freedom, you could call it, freedom moon. And he is there make sure everybody has a seat, make sure their lines of sight are unobstructed, making sure that they're all comfortable. They've got their recording devices and the elders have their hearing aids and everybody's ready to learn. And he primes them, they're ready to go. And the spokesperson says, not gonna talk. Just stops right there. And drama proceeds. So it's like, that's fascinating that the sutra, I don't know if that ever happens in the Hebrew scriptures. Do we ever? I guess the book of Job, there's some skullduggery going on there. The conversation that leads to the affliction of poor Job, conversation between God and Satan, So yeah, there are counterparts, but certainly Vajra Treasury and Moon of Liberation don't go through the trials of Job. But nonetheless, here they are. And it's fascinating to see what it takes to get this Dharma wheel turning. It takes the Buddha. The Buddha, actually Buddhas, plural numbers of Buddhas, all named Vajra Treasury, intervene. And they say, go ahead, it's all right, you can do it. So he says, yes, I will. At that point, he doesn't say no to the Buddhas, he begins to speak. But he begins by talking about his reasons why he was silent, how subtle, how miraculous, how esoteric and rare are these teachings, how hard it is to get enrolled in this class, how unusual it is to have the 10 stages dharmas available to study. So he's setting a high bar, a high standard. And then he goes, okay, here we go. And he began. So we're now a couple lectures into the content, past the preliminaries. Now the class has begun. And we learned about what makes the Bodhisattva happy, sources of happiness. And we heard about the 5 kinds of fear, 5种恐怖, 5种怖畏, 5 things that terrify a bodhisattva that could terrify a bodhisattva, but they don't. The bodhisattva has antidotes to 5 kinds of fear. And interestingly, later on in the sutra, this is chapter 26, and then later on at chapter 39, Guanyin Bodhisattva, Avalokiteshvara, shows up as a teacher to an exemplar, a paradigm bodhisattva, an example, a test case. He's our poster boy bodhisattva. His name is Sudhana, and he's cultivating along, practicing these methods, advancing up the bodhisattva path. So Sudhana enacts in reality what we're getting in theory, how it should be done. He goes ahead and does it. And Guanyin Bodhisattva appears and turns the 5 kinds of fear into 14 kinds of fear that are dispelled, that turn fearless, and how to do it. Fascinating stuff, psychological, not philosophical. It's not philosophy in terms of just, a theory that may or may not be relevant to your life. What happens in the 10 stages is 100% relevant to our lives. The Bodhisattva has no time for philosophy. They only want what works. Just the way a doctor has no experimental medicine in his kit bag. The doctor shows up, gets out of the car, and goes into the house on a house call because somebody's in dire need of something that works to heal, to make it hurt less and make it not scary, right? Doctor doesn't have time to say, oh, I wonder, it's an interesting theory of medicine and healing. No, he says, no, take this, it will make it feel better. That's the 10 stages. So we learned about that. Now we're in this thing called vows, VOWS. We've been at it for a couple of weeks because this is really the heartbeat of the first stage. Is the Bodhisattva here is setting up what he or she needs as a compass heading, the way a compass goes north, south, east, west, intermediates, in between, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. Here in the first stage, this preliminary level of learning, the Bodhisattva sets her course. This is where I'm going. And it's fascinating to see what the Buddha picks out as the important choices to choose among, because there are 10. There are 10. And after each one, there's a refrain. The refrain is like a chorus to a song. It's what Chongsong only, I don't know what refrain, trying to find in Chinese. I don't know what a refrain is. But you know how you go after every verse of a song, there's a few lines that you repeat. Well, there's a refrain in our text, and I'll show it to you. Just give you an example of what I mean. Here's our text. And this was the first of the vows. Let me make it nice and big here. Bigger, bigger, please. That's scaling. There we go. There it is. Here's the first set of vows, and it ends like this. 广大如法界，究竟如虚空，尽未来际，一切皆数，无有休息. Okay, there it is. 广大如法界，究竟如虚空，尽未来际，一切皆数，无有休息. That's repeated 10 times like a refrain. What is it? It's vast and great as the Dharma realm, ultimate as empty space, to the ends of the future, throughout all numbers of eons, without cease. What have we got? This is a particularly Avatamsaka Sutra flavor vow refrain. This takes anything that you said before, anything that was in your vow that you promised, and sets it into permanent stage, right? What do you say? It makes it permanent. It makes it last. It makes it so big that it never stops. This is the permanentizer, right? This is the eternalizer. It just makes it irrevocable. You can never revoke it. You can never end it. It just sets it going and it never stops. Vast and great. My vows are going to be Guangda Ru Fa Jie. Vast and great is the Dharma realm. The Dharma realm is, you could say, the universe, sort of, but it's where beings live, muck around, and die. That's the Dharma realm, and then return. There are 10 kinds of places where the Dharma realm appears. And all of that activity that beings do, that we do there in the Dharma realm, is set in empty space. What is empty space? That's where all this stuff happens. What is ultimate? Empty space is ultimate. There's nowhere it's not. It's in every one of our cells. Empty space is there. It's in the, the passage in the iris of your eye, the lens of your eye. It's in the ears. It's in every drop of blood, in the atom. Take it down to the macro, tiny, and there's space. There's a nucleus, protons, neutrons, electrons whizzing around, and a lot of every atom is space. It's empty, a large part of it. So that's empty space. And yet it's also galaxies out to the farthest reaches, endless, ultimate. That's empty space. So that's space. Then it goes to time. How big are these vows the Bodhisattva is making? Vast and ultimate. How long do they last? They last to the ends of future time. When does future time end? Well, long time. Throughout all numbers of eons. You try to count that amount of time, divide it up. All numbers are included, and then never stops. Okay, here we go. How do you like that? As a ultimator, making it ultimate. A eternalizer, making it eternal. This Avatamsaka stuff says the Bodhisattva's vows are going to last forever. How big are they? How much big have you got? That's how big they are, right? So I particularly like this refrain because it happens 10 times. And it really gives us a flavor of the Buddha's mind and how it doesn't have limits. Now, let me pin it down. Let's pin it down. This morning I was meditating. Meditate a couple times a day. And in the morning, what was I thinking? I was like just about ready to really get quieter than usual. I was going to get really quiet in my meditation. And a thought arose. And the thought was, gee, did you set an alarm? What if you nod off? What if you go to sleep and you're going to miss your board meeting? Had a board meeting, a university board meeting. It was like, oh man, so, okay, well, I checked my phone. Yeah, I set mine in case I might nod off and be late for the board. So right away, my meditation like had a fence, bong. Okay, well, I better be careful because what if I sleep? What if I miss what, worries, fears, doubts, limits. So my mind immediately, I set this fence in my mind. Don't fall asleep because then you false thinking, the what ifs are the deadly ones. What if you do that? Then, fear and doubt. So my mind is so limited. And think about the Buddha who did what? Overcame the self. What the Buddha did was erased the constructed ego. That's what the Dharma does, is it gets in there and it takes all those limits, which could be actually, biologically, they could be biochemical. Who knows, what is when we hear that little voice inside, that critic, that editor is going, what if, better, that might happen, that'd be bad. That little voice inside, is that a electrical thing that goes beep? Is it self-preservation? Is it some primal lizard brain survival function? Who knows? we're just starting to sniff around the edges of that kind of research. There have been several very well-funded, hopeful research projects into wiring up meditators and finding out when you have a false thought like I had this morning, what's going on in the brain? What is that? So in any case, the Buddha was able to, in his meditation, year after year, life after life, was able to have those thoughts rise and not fight them off, not worry about them, set his own alarms so he never missed a meeting and wasn't worried about such things. And like that doubt and fear that I registered, basically, there's also greed, there's also anger, there's also delusion, there's also pride, there's also rage, there's also, all the things that make up the self. The Buddha was able to overcome and transform, and you could say recycle, contextualize, find a space for all that stuff so that his stillness was not interrupted. His mind was quiet. And as a result, think about what it would be like to meditate and just have your mind perfectly match the Tao, perfectly match the currents of the universe. At the moment, the wind is blowing here in Benogan, in the bush, and yet it's nearly 80 degrees. So that means everything is, all of moisture from the rain that we've had is being absorbed quickly. It's getting dry, right? Imagine if just every cell in your body was one with the weather, wherever we are on the planet. Time and space, and we were the same. So that's the mind that wants living. The Buddha wants us to be able to move into that space and at the same time register what the living beings inside us and outside us are needing, because they're not in harmony with the Tao, where we have all kinds of limitations, we have all kinds of afflictions and knots that we tie our minds in, and the pressure that we feel, and the fear arises, anger arises, grief arises, so that our units actually destroy ourselves in order to overcome that pain. But it doesn't work, So the Buddha is interested in creating more bodhisattva paramedics, psychic paramedics who can go out and find ways to show us, encourage us, teach us, help us, heal ourselves, and do that process that he did, which is remove the limits of the self, the constructed self, to merge, become what they call tong ti da bei, same body, great compassion. Okay, now we're going to be looking at these 10 vows, and every time we get to the refrain, I've got something new for us to do, which is not that. Close that one and open this one. I want us to sing the refrain. Here we we go. Every time at 10 times, we're going to do it. We're going to go, vast and great as the Dharma realm, ultimate as empty space, to the ends of future time. Throughout all numbers of eons, without cease, without cease, without cease. Vast and great as the Dharma realm, ultimate as empty space, to the ends of future time. Throughout all numbers of eons, without cease, without cease, without cease. I found myself singing this all week, and it just didn't cease. It never ceased. Right? Just kept on going. So we're not only going to read the Avatamsaka, we're going to sing the Avatamsaka. Here we go. Vast and great as the Dharma realm. Take a breath. Ultimate as empty space, to the ends of future time. Throughout all numbers of eons, without cease, without cease, without cease. Now, there's a method in this, which is what? The text that we're learning, the vows that the Bodhisattva makes, are vast and great as the Dharma realm. They're intense. There's a lot. And I find I get full in a couple lines, honestly, because there's like, it's so, the curriculum is intense. There's a lot to learn. Bodhisattva's homework is challenging, right? So I need that breath in between. Vast and great as the Dharma realm. Take a breath. Digest. Ultimate is empty space. Take a breath. Through the ends of future time. Take a breath. Throughout all numbers of eons, without cease, without cease. So that's why I think the music is good. It charges the right brain, and it gives us a chance to. And my theory, my hope is that when we come back to the next curricula, the next chunk of vows, we're ready. We're ready to absorb them. Okay, that's how I'm thinking about it. So here's the first. We'll boost that up. Here we go from the start. Ready? 佛子菩萨成就如是净治地法，名为安住菩萨欢喜地. Disciples of the Buddha, when the Bodhisattva accomplishes such purification and regulation of the stages, they are said to securely dwell on the Bodhisattva's stage of happiness. 佛子菩萨住此欢喜地，能成就如是大誓愿，如是大勇猛，如是大作用。所谓生广大清净决定觉，以一切供养之具，恭敬供养一切诸佛，令无有余。广大如法界，究竟如虚空，尽为来际，一切皆数，无有休息。Disciples of the Buddha, the Bodhisattvas who dwell on the stage of happiness, are able to accomplish such great vows, such great vigor, such great efficacy. That is, they bring forth vast, great, pure, decisive understanding, and use many items to make offerings and to worship all Buddhas, omitting none. Vast and great as the Dharma realm, ultimate as empty space, to the ends of the future, throughout all numbers of eons, without cease. Now, for the sake of the melody, if I were to print this out again, I would say to the ends of future time, not the ends of the future. So we're going to slightly change this line right here. Ready? Ready? Here we go. Vast and great as the Dharma realm, ultimate as empty space, to the ends of future time, throughout all numbers of eons, without cease, without cease, without cease. Now, that was about offerings, all about offerings. Bodhisattva vows, first thing they vow is they're going to keep their relationship with their teachers alive and flowing by giving away things they value. Now, it could be a flower, it could be a dandelion. It could be a bottle brush, collection of those beautiful red flowers that lorikeets like so much. In any case, it doesn't have to be pricey. It has to be something you care about, so that in the giving, parts of yourself are given away in the act. There's a function of this giving, but the receiver in their turn register what? The act of giving, not the thing, but the intention of the giver to establish this relationship. So through the first vows have to do with using many items to make offerings and worship the Buddhas, omitting none. So they're always going to be in this donor-recipient relationship with the teachers, with the source of the Dharma. I find that so fascinating that that's the first thing, right? All right, coming up, what next? Last week, we close you. There we go. We looked at the 10. The second one is called Shou Chi Yuan, the vow to sustain. You could call it the vow to hold. Chi, Shou Chi, is to receive and uphold. And our Tang Dynasty commentator said it's actually Dharma protection. So the second vow has to do with, I vow that I'm going to do everything I can to keep the Dharma going, to protect it. Because why? It is a resource that we shouldn't take for granted. It could vanish. And so the Bodhisattva says, yeah, I'm going to keep it alive, keep it going. Here we go. Yo fa da yuan, yuan shou yi qie fo fa lun, yuan she yi qie fo puti, yuan hu yi qie zhu fo jiao, yuan chi yi qie zhu fo fa, guang da ru fa jie, jiu jing ru xu kong, jin wei lai ji, yi qie jie shu, wu you xiu xi. They further make great vows. They vow to receive the wheel of Dharma from the Buddhas, vow to embrace the awakening of the Buddhas, vow to protect the teachings of the Buddhas, vow to uphold the Dharma of the Buddhas. Vast and great is the Dharma realm, ultimate as empty space, to the ends of the future, throughout all numbers of eons, without cease. So take a look at vow number 2 as we do our refrain. Kind of let the melody set these vows inside our minds. Here we go. Vast and great as the Dharma realm, ultimate as empty space, to the ends of future time, throughout all numbers of eons, without cease, without cease, without cease. So you think about second vow. Here we're reading for comprehension, huh? This is another way of going through the sutra, is to really look at what comes first, what comes next, what is important, what does Vajra Treasury Bodhisattva want his listeners to understand about the first stage Bodhisattva setting out on the journey. They are making vows. They are getting the compass lined up. We're going that way. I'm going that way. This is the first thing you do. And as we made a big point last week about talking about how this is, the vows have to do with, I want to learn. I'm seeking something. I want something. I don't have it yet. This is the first stage. And there are 9, after this one, there's 9 more. So this is in terms of college, this is a freshman. This is the terms of elementary school, this is the kindergartner, first grade. The Bodhisattva is saying, this is what I know I need because I don't have it yet. I'm not where I want to be, and that's where I want to be, and here's how I go. Number 1 was about making offerings. Number 2 was about seeing the value of the Dharma. And if we had to give it just one name, what is the value? It's the method that heals the pain. The technical language would be transforming affliction, right? Hua fan nao, right? So this is the medicine for the Dharma doctor. That's what the Dharma is. They call it 84,000 methods for transforming all the things that we do wrong, all the things that go wrong in our lives. And many of them are psychological, but not all. Afflictions it's an obstacle. They talk about the obstacle of affliction, the obstacle of retribution, and the obstacle of karma. And what's the last one? 烦恼业障报障烦恼障所知障 the obstacle of being too smart for your own good. Interesting. 所知障, so your knowledge can definitely block you. The left brain can become too heavy, head heavy. You need more banjo in your life. So yeah, things that block us from appreciating the Dharma would be afflictions. So if we're too greedy, if we're too arrogant, we look down on it. If we have low self-esteem, we don't think we're capable of it because we heard rumors and we took them as true, right? That's an obstacle. The obstacle of retribution, which is our 6 senses are deficient. Our hearing goes out, or we're sick a lot. Retribution for past deeds, from the past coming alive in this life. Retribution of karma is the 3rd one, ye chang, which is habits. We just do things that take us out of the ability to hear the Dharma or to recognize it. They say, Renzai fu tian bu zhi fu. We're in the field of blessings and we don't even know it because we're just so blinded, by our thoughts. And then the last one I like is that obstacle of suo zhi zhang, they call it. It's too smart for our own good. 聪明反被聪明误. We just get blocked out by all the things we know. Yeah. When I was a scholar, actually, Yongjia Dashi, Master Yongjia, has the best 我早年来求学问，入海的是分别名相，是我在过去教学问，入海算下兔子困。I should have. I need to rehearse my song of enlightenment. In the past, he says, I studied. I sought learning, and I. Do you have it there? 我在从来求学问，分别名相不知修，入海算下兔子困，却被如来苦何哉？求他珍宝有何益？ Take me back to the one before. 我在从来求学问，我早年来求学问。再说，一层草树存经论，分别名相不知修，入海算下兔子棍。Okay, there we go. 师父 would scold me. So in the past, I sought knowledge and discriminated among all the different sutras and texts and commentaries, and made all the distinctions between all the different terms, the languages. Never knew enough, never knew when to quit. It's as if someone dove down to the bottom of the ocean and counted out the sands. That's what the scholar impulse, when it doesn't have a healthy balance, can do that, you know. And then the art one 是却被如来苦何哉？树他珍宝有何益？第三句，却被如来苦何哉？树他珍宝有何益？突来正当忙求。Last line. 多年往做风筝客。So I won't butcher the Song of Enlightenment. I'll get it ready next time before I try to do it. So the Bodhisattva says you can obstruct yourself by too much knowledge, and there's a verse or two verses back to back in the Song of Enlightenment by Master Hua, where he describes the plight of the scholar and the afflictions that can obstruct me when all I know is to chop ever finer, chop. So you have a nice carrot, and if you chop it nicely, it cooks quickly and it's tender when it's time to eat it and it's flavorful. If you chop the carrot too much, you just have mush, right? And the human brain can discriminate too much, just like he says, as futile as it would be to dive down to the bottom of the ocean and count the number of sands. So you now know the final number. Congratulations. What have you done? So that's called an obstruction of too much knowledge, 所知障, and it's one of the four kinds of knowledge. Here, the Bodhisattva says, I'm going to value the Dharma as it is taught. I'm going to, there we go. Thank you, Jerry. Post it up. There we go. Should I do it justice? Let's do it justice here. So I won't get scolded afterwards. Here we go. There it is. Make it nice and big. Gee, that's nice to have Zoom and friends who can save me when I botch my Song of Enlightenment. Close, please. There we go. All right, here it is. 我早年来积学问，一层草树顺经论，分别名相不知修，入海算下兔子困，却被如来苦何哉？ 树他珍宝有何益？从来曾登觉修虚行，多念狂作风筝客。The second verse says, you know, the Tathagata scolded us in the past for doing this very thing. What is the advantage in counting out others' values? Where's the advantage in inventorying others' riches? 从来曾登觉修心. So unfortunately, in the past, I didn't realize, and I wasn't awake. I wasn't awake to the emptiness of this practice, and as a result, for many years, I wandered as a guest of the dust and the wind. So literally, many years, in vain was the guest of the wind and the dust. So I blew along in this futile, fruitless search for sterile knowledge. Okay? Yeah. Zheng Dao Ge, so wonderful. Song of Enlightenment. Okay. So here's the Bodhisattva saying, right, I'm going to protect the Dharma as it is taught. And what is the Dharma? It can be, you can do what's called study the 文字般若, Prajna of knowledge and language. So literary prajna, it's a kind of knowledge. And boy, we're calling it, as we translate, we're trying to bring the tradition into the West, into the contemporary 21st century. And we're calling it decoding the Dharma, because I know monks and lay people who are thoroughly educated in Buddhology, in the Ming Xiang, in the terminology, and they can talk for hours, throwing 4-character phrases left and right. And when you're done, you think, that person really is knowledgeable. And yet it was code language. It was just as if you were reading Morse code, or the sound of typing, tap, 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 tap. But there's no paper in the typewriter, and there's no experience behind literary prajna when it's merely the words and language. And it can be even intimidating. I know some monks who when they start moving that Buddhist code language, you just, like, okay, I please stop. I submit. I'm subdued. And in the same vein, there are monks and nuns whose cultivation has taken them to real awakening, and they may not say more than a handful of words, but every word you hear has this incredible charge of wisdom and compassion behind it. So what's appropriate is the balance. Not only can you explain when language is necessary, but you also have the wordless experience of transformation, of affliction through the Dharma. That's the goal. So we don't want to forget language. We have to, when it's time to talk, we want to communicate. We want people to understand. But when it's Buddha Dharma that our Bodhisattvas here is vowing to protect, you can, your understanding, you can sing it, you can gesture it like pantomime, you can just embody it. 现身说法. You don't have to rely on words and language. So that is that's the second kind of prajna. The first one is called 文字般若, literary prajna. The second kind is called 观照般若. You're able to contemplate the world, and everything you see shows you a principle. Like 观照般若 is the ability to look past the surface of every situation. You look at the skin, you know the bones and the veins and the blood and the flesh behind the skin. There's a third kind, which is the real deal, which is called Shixiang, ultimate reality, Prajna. And at that point, you and the Tao are one. There's no difference. Everything you do is connected to awakening, right? So, should we do one more? Let's do another. Let's do another vow. Otherwise, we'll be weeks here. Not that one. We want it went away. Come back. Notes. There it is. The third one is called Zhuan Fa Lun Yuan. Right here. Vow to teach, to turn the Dharma wheel. That's code language. What does it mean to turn the Dharma wheel? It means to teach, basically. Take a look. Ready? Here we go. 又发大愿，愿一切世界佛心于世，从兜率天宫末，入台、住台、出生、出家、成道、说法、实现涅槃，皆系往矣。亲近供养，为众上首，受行正法，受行正法，于一切处依时而转，广大如法界，究竟如虚空，尽为来际，一切皆数，无有休息。They further make great vows, vowing that in any world, wherever a Buddha appears, descends from the Tushita heaven, enters the womb, dwells in the womb, is born and leaves home, accomplishes the way, speaks Dharma, and manifests Nirvana, they will go to those worlds. There they will draw near to and make offerings to the Buddhas, serve as the head of the Buddha's assembly, practice the proper Dharma. No matter what world it is, these events occur simultaneously. Vast and great as the Dharma realm, ultimate as empty space, to the ends of the future, throughout all numbers of eons, without cease. Okay, let me say just a word before we do our refrain, so that you can look at the content of this vow number 3. What is this? This is a formula. This is a Dharma pattern, traditional, found in every sutra that it was ever spoken. When it's talking about a Buddha, this is the succession of events in the life of a Buddha. It's our Buddha, Prince Siddhartha, went through this. What did he do? He appeared. It's time for the Buddha to show up. He has been in the Tushita heaven, waiting. That's the story. This is how the lore goes. Comes down from heaven to Lady Maya's womb, stays in the womb for the right amount of time, comes out, is born, and then leaves home, leaves the palace, becomes an ascetic, cultivates, becomes a Buddha under a tree, not always the Bodhi tree, different kinds of trees. Then, now he's the Buddha, speaks Dharma. Then what? Leaves. Gives the appearance of entering Nirvana. Wherever these, they're called Ba Xiang Cheng Dao, the 8 hallmarks of a Buddha's lifespan, 8 milestones in the Buddha's lifespan. These bodhisattvas will go to that world where that's happening. They will make offerings to the Buddha or Buddhas. They will work in the community there to assist and lead the community. They will cultivate what they hear and do this. It says here, Yi shi er zhuan. That's hard to translate. Not quite sure what we said. It'll occur simultaneously with this event in other worlds. Vast and great as the Dharma Realm. So this is called the vow to turn the Dharma wheel. Okay, This is what the Bodhisattva vows to do. Are we ready? Why don't you contemplate all that while we exercise the right brain? Vast and great is the Dharma Realm, ultimate as empty space, to the ends of future time, throughout all numbers of eons, without cease, without cease, without cease. So, how interesting. Wow, this is far out. Is this Buddhist philosophy? If anything, it's Buddhist biography. This is the story, they say, that every Buddha from past, current, into the future, all Buddhas will do these things. Now, in other texts, the list is different. Some texts include 相魔, right? 相辅, 相魔. They subdue demons. That's one of the list. They do that. Some of the texts include 分布舍利. They spread their sharira, their relics, after they enter nirvana. So in the Nirvana Sutra, the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, there's a different list. In the Prajna Sutras, there's a different list, but it's the same idea that there's a pattern for the Buddha's last life. This is the last life before Buddhahood of an individual, and you, audience member, you, Shifu would say, 修道的人, you're a cultivator of the way. When you become a Buddha, you will do the same. They say, I'm told. So how interesting. This is Buddhist lore. This has been echoing down from time without beginning. As long as there's been Buddhas, this is the pattern. So our Bodhisattva says, yes, me too. I'm going to do that. How about that? Isn't that interesting? Let's see here. Okay, we got to do one more because things I want to say later on have to do with this one. So one more. 又发大愿，愿一切菩萨行广大无量，不坏不杂，摄诸波罗蜜，尽至诸地，总相、别相、同相、异相、成相、坏相，所有菩萨行，皆如是说，教化一切灵气受行，心的增长。广大如法界，究竟如虚空，尽未来际，一切界数，无有休息。They further make great vows, vowing that they will speak about all Bodhisattva practices as they really are, to teach and transform all beings, so that those beings will accept and put them into practice, and so that their minds will expand and increase. This includes all the Bodhisattva's practices, vast, great, limitless, indestructible, and unaltered, including all paramitas and all the stages, in their general aspects, their specific features, in their similar and unique aspects, as they arise and as they pass away, vast and great as the Dharma Realm, ultimate as empty space, to the ends of the future, throughout all numbers of eons, without cease. This is the vow to 修行二利. Yeah, look at that. The vow to cultivate two benefits, two aspects, or two, you could, let's see, maybe translate that as both recipients of benefits, both parties who gain from this work. So who would it be? What's it about? Practices. These first stage bodhisattvas here on the stage of happiness say, I vow that I'm going to be able to explain to anybody who wants bodhisattvas practices correctly, to teach all beings, so that when they hear them, they go, yeah, I like to meditate. I really want to meditate. Or I'm a reciter. I like devotion. I want to learn how to recite Guan Yin's name. I'm a sutra person. I want to learn how to memorize sutras and mantras and recite them correctly. So the bodhisattva, I'm going to learn how to teach that the right way, so that the minds of the students will expand and increase. And the second benefit, recipient of the benefit, is the bodhisattva as well. So all their practices, and then these defining terms, right? Vast, great, limitless, indestructible, paramitas, stages, general, specific, similar, unique, coming and going. That's the fourth vow. How interesting, right? Is this what you would vow you want? This is, they're seeking this. This is the freshman level bodhisattva candidate of the first stage setting out, says, I want to go here. I want to go here. Okay, let's do quickly. Here we go. Vast and great as the Dharma realm, ultimate as empty space, to the ends of future time, throughout all numbers of eons, without cease, without cease, without cease. Now, what I wanted to share here was there's learning going on. And the vows, basically what the bodhisattva does when he or she makes a vow is they're tying themselves into their future plans. They're taking out a contract with themselves and with the Buddhas, and also with living beings, locking themselves into a study program. This is, they're enrolling. This is, the vows pretty much sign you up, and you don't make the vow and walk away. You know, the vows are, they're saying, yep, I'm going to enroll. I'm going to be, this is my course. This is what I want to learn. And it may take lifetimes. This is not a degree program for, 3 years, 4 years, and then an internship, and then a residency, and then you're a fully fledged doctor. This is not that. It's a long process. But what I think is remarkable is it's the stage of happiness. Bodhisattva is happy because he has no further doubts about what he wants to do. She wants to do. She is putting her shoulder to the wheel. I had that awakening, that awareness on Big Sur, this 60-mile stretch of highway from Santa Barbara essentially up to Monterey, Carmel, where on the right side is the Santa Lucia mountain range, sheer, just wild. occasional arroyos going back, occasional cuts in the mountains. But other than that, it's just birds only. And then to the left is the Pacific Ocean and the tide coming in. Occasionally you could see whales sounding off the coast. That's it. And 2 lanes of blacktop, highway, mountainside, and ocean. And because it curves, it's very scenic. Often we would start our bowing on this spot and look ahead. As the road curved, we could see miles ahead. And I would say, oh, tonight we're going to be there. You see that bridge? We're going to be just south of, that's a mile. Okay, we'll be there tonight. Let's bow. Let's start bowing. You travel about a mile at bowing. By the end of the day, we'd gone up to that spot. And then you go around the curve and you could see the bay. You're at that. And I was never happier in my life than knowing that my effort was going to take me from this spot to that spot. And the sun was we're going to circle the sun. We're going to turn on our axis one time, our planet. By the time we got there, and then the next day there was going to be another visible chunk of where we were going to go. That kind of steady shoulder to the wheel effort was very satisfying, very happy to realize that that was clear and simple. You want to be up there, start bowing, start walking, start cultivating. The Bodhisattva now knows what his or her future will be all the way to Buddhahood, because look at these vows. The vows are voluntary servitude. You're volunteering to do hard work in service to living beings. Very cool how this works. Now, that's looking over the top. Let's pin it down. Had a wonderful story come down the track. Came from actually from Facebook. A person passed it on. And here's a lady, she's Australian. This happened in Pimpama, which is just up the road from us. She's got a bill of sale from the auto service. It was for $535. And she front, lower control area, knocking, suspension, etc. What happened? She says, I was sitting in Pimpama, right? That's how you say it? Pimpama. She was in the McDonald's car park waiting for an appointment. And a gentleman who she found out later after all this happened was named Tony, approached my car window, knocked on the car, and he looked reliable. She rolled the window down. He said, did you know what your tires look like? Notice tires are spelled with a Y, all you Americans. That's right. So I explained I knew I needed new ones, but at the moment I simply couldn't afford it. Tony said, would you be willing to follow me over to the Bridgestone, Pimpama outlet here across the road, see what they could do for me? He said, if I walked away from your car, seeing the state of your tires, knowing what I know, I wouldn't be able to sleep. I couldn't live with myself because your tires could blow anytime. He said, let's get you some new tires. And with Tony, turns out, were his 2 sons. Tony apparently was a very big fellow, and his sons were watching him and listening to how he dealt with this situation. He didn't ask for anything in return. He said, someday you'll be in a position where you'll be able to help somebody, you can pay it forward. $535, a lot of tears on my behalf, a few hugs, 3 brand new tires, and a wheel alignment later, as well as an offer to fuel up the car. Tony left. No last name, no contact numbers, just this gentle giant with his 2 beautiful sons, teaching them a life lesson. So she says, Tony, if this ever reaches you, thank you. Thank you for your utterly selfless act. For your kind words, for restoring my faith in humanity. From the bottom of my heart, a big thank you. And also a big thank you to Bridgestone Tires in Pimpama for fitting me in on a fully booked out day and for the great service. You guys are champs, legends. There it is. Notice she has mom's hands. She's hardworking. And this kind-hearted fellow, a stranger from beginning to end, who had two boys watching how adult men behave, gave us this story. Kindness of strangers. Teaching children by example. Yeah. So the Bodhisattva path is full of stories just like that. Paying it forward, generosity, giving without expectation of reward, except the man said, if I walked away knowing that your life could be severely impacted because your horse needs horseshoes, had already thrown a nail and was in danger, your car had tires that you could see the cords, see the fabric. So kind-hearted, but translating kind-heart into action and taking a loss so that others benefit. That's really the Bodhisattva heart. I really like that story. Some of you are going to say, what is that? What's that on your desktop there, Dharma Master? And this was the, when was this, Sam? This was 6 months ago, 9 months ago? How long ago? Oh, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Wow, time flashes. This was, I guess we weren't meeting like this during COVID, right? This is pre-COVID, yeah. This was the precepts for the deceased, the Yoming here at the Gold Coast. Those of you who are watching me, this is the Buddha who I'm sitting in front of at the moment. So we got a kind of a picture in a picture happening. So yeah, so precepts for the deceased is a very popular ceremony in the Mahayana canon, in our repertoire. So by golly. Now, I didn't time this very well, but I wanted to share with everybody a little bit of visual break here. We've been singing the refrain to the Bodhisattva's vows and listening to this intense, non-philosophical behavior of a Bodhisattva. And I wanted to share some of the visual aspects happening in our community here. All I do to bring these pictures to you is step outside my door. All of these personalities in feathers and fur and scales, they all predated me. They allow me to live among them here in the bush of Southeast Queensland. The local David Flay Nature Park calls it rainforest. That this apparently is, we're classified as rainforest here in the Southeastern Queensland. So these are, quote, typical residents. All of these different creatures have been here forever, probably beyond time. They came with the forest and they are symbiotic. These creatures are the living, breathing, conscious expressions of the forest. The trees are kind of the earth elements expression and the wood elements expression of the forest, of the bush. The animals and the plants are just another manifestation of life itself, which I like to think of it that way, that when the Queensland bush wants to express itself as a bird, this is how it comes out. As a reptile, this is how it comes out. Bearded dragon. Ooh, not happy when I tried to move him off the road, the highway. There we are. Happy young male kookaburra. Curlwong. What's your story, bud? Doing his 1 foot stand. Sulfur-crested cockatoo. Asking me if I have any more of those almonds. Rainbow lorikeet. I'm just as red as that bottle brush, don't you think? Spring flowers. And the lilies have returned. The lotuses are on their way. We'll have lotuses in a couple weeks. These are our mysterious disappearing goldfish. That don't blink because they're going to vanish. Taking flight. Kookaburra family. What's that you say? Somebody's running a cockatoo in the local elections? Bird party? This was yesterday. Red-shouldered wallaby. Husband and wife. The dad is in the back. Mom is in the front. There we go. By golly. Thanks for indulging me in sharing my neighbors with you. I told in our board meeting today, I told our friends that I was going to talk about Buddhist education. I didn't get to it yet, but I prepared some material talking about why did Master Hua emphasize education in the West, especially for monks and nuns? What's that about? And we didn't get to it today, but we will. What I'm talking about is something called wisdom humanities. 智慧 人理 humanities 人理 humanities 人道学是吗？智慧人道学 so a system of Dharma as a system of humanities. So wisdom humanities, and there's a lot I want to say here, but it's important. This was our board meeting for Dharma Realm Buddhist University today. We meet a couple times, 3 times a year. And when that happens, it's really good to refresh what our teacher emphasized and how it's not just for people so they can leave home. It is precisely for those who do leave the home life, who become monastics, so that they can move more effectively through the Bodhisattva stages. They're not separate. This is the worldly learning is simply accumulating tools so that as we cultivate the Tao, we can express those tools. Before you get to the Bodhisattva path, it's not the case. Before you get to the Bodhisattva path, what do they say? They say, 为学日益, right? And they say, 为道日损，损之又损，归于无为. You say, when we are in the path of learning, we accumulate day by day. We want to know more language, more tools, more methodologies, more criteria, more discriminations. That's the path of learning, of study. But when we cultivate the Tao, we decrease day by day. We want to have less knowledge, less discrimination, just like Yongjia Dashi with his critique of scholarship. So they say you decrease and decrease until you finally get to Wu Wei, where there is nothing that needs to be done further. Of inaction, no doing. That's the state of the Zen archer, right? However, the Zen archer still picks up his bow, picks up her bow. The Bodhisattva still has to teach in order for those vows to come real. So the Bodhisattva path goes one beyond that duality formula of study or Tao, study or cultivation. They become the same path. Study without application is sterile, and the application without study is ineffective. It's not, doesn't work. There's no place to apply it. So you need both. Wang Yangming said the very same thing, right? So he said, 知行合一, 知行合一, knowledge and practice unite. All righty, there we go. So thank you for joining me again today. I'm going to ask whoever is there at the Berkeley Monastery to tell us what's going on, give us any information that we might need. Who would that be? Jinchuan, Jinwei Shi?
Is Jinwei here. Hello, everyone.
There we go.
Actually, we are in the Redwood Vihara in the Redwood Forest. Yes. So in terms of the announcements, so tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. California time, it will begin the Forum for the Quest of Meaning of Life. It's the series of lectures. We begin with talk, an interview talk with Rabbi Hank Schur and Nipun Mehta, founder of Service Space. And it will be 7:30. And I believe you can go to our Berkeley Buddhist Monastery website and see the link. It is a CTDB YouTube channel.
Oh, is it CTDB? Okay. Let's see here. I'm going to go there right now. So if I go to YouTube and then go to CTTB Live.
Yeah, it should be.
Let's see here. Okay, there it is. Aha, right there.
Oh, great.
Forum for the Quest of the Meaning of Life. Good. That sounds very interesting. I hope I have time to make it. Hope I'm there. Good. All righty. Quest of the Meaning of Life. 就说生命之意义. All right. Yeah, what else is going on?
And we're just following our schedule, and you can find all information on Berkeley Buddhist Monastery website, berkeleymonastery.org. And we have start 4 a.m. morning ceremony, 6:15 meditation, we're reading journals from the Bowing Pilgrimage, and do some short reflections, and we do 3 steps, 1 bow as well. And we have noon recitation at 12 p.m. and evening ceremony starts 6:30, and various classes and lectures. So we just keep going day by day. Okay,
let's do this. It's dark. Is the sun down in California? Is it dark outside?
Yes, dark. It is dark.
Okay. I was going to say next week we could have you give us a little tour of the redwoods down in Santa Cruz, but it's already too dark to. Maybe you could take a little video or something.
We can do some video, and sure, the Rabbi Sure can show the next time. Yeah.
Yeah. Just a little. Yeah.
Sure.
Great. Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you for that. So, yep. So that is tomorrow. Should people want to tune in, same time as tonight, it's 12:30. Starting at 12:30 in the afternoon here in Queensland, 7:30 p.m. On Sunday night. Because it's virtual, I and Nipun Mehta will be talking about Quest of the Meaning of Life. It's always fun to talk to Nipun. He's has a elevated perspective on some of the things that make life meaningful, such as generosity and giving. So he's always good to listen to. And he and I will be swapping stories this time tomorrow. So you can, there is a Zoom link here from the website, but if you go to YouTube, you can watch it on YouTube because it's going to be live streamed. That's probably a better way to enjoy it. You can chat with people who are with you on YouTube. How many friends from China today? 79. Wow. How many on Dharma Realm Live? I wonder. Jerry's he's got a number here. 120. Okay. Yeah, we're pretty consistent, I guess. When you think that, what's his name? Ed Sheeran's videos on YouTube have 8 billion views. 8 billion times people have asked for his videos, and they're super. His 130 on YouTube. So they're great, but 8 billion? Come on. My goodness, that's remarkable. And we have, I think my highest is about 3,000, and that's the bare wisdom, you know, it's barely. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, indeed. I understand why people would want to listen to Ed Sheeran. He's fun. He's really fun to listen to. Coming up here. Here is our transference. And what we're going to do, we're going to make a wish to send out any of the good things that come from our sutra investigating community that we have here, looking into this ancient wisdom and sending out, sharing that goodness with a wish. Send it out as far as your mind can go, however you would like to send the goodness. Kind of like the power of prayer. Think of all the places in the world today that are in need of a boost. Arahate samyak sambuddhaya Bhagyata Vasaji 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 Samgate Swaha Namo Bhagavate Vasaja Vaidurya Prabharajana Tathagataya Arahate Samyak Sambuddhaya Bhagyata Vasaji 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 Samgate Swaha Bhagavate Vasaja Vaidurya Prabharajana Tathagataya Arahate Samyak Sambuddhaya Bhagyata Vasaji 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 Samgate Swaha. Here is an image of Buddha's city of 10,000 Buddhas. If you'd like to join me, bowing 3 times, here we go. There is an image of our teacher. I invite you to join me if you care to. Okay, that will do it for us for today. Amitofo, everybody. See you all next week.